Hello, welcome back. We are on our final signature for our album, which is featuring Graphic 45's The Beach is Calling. But before we get to this, I had left off on the previous signature that we had a couple of flaps that opened up, and I wanted to put in some corner pockets on these two pages to kind of break up all that striping. So I went to my scraps and I found a piece that would work, and then I placed a couple of the rub-ons on it, and I cut these, I do believe at about 4.5 by the width, and then I cut on the diagonal. So that's how I finished off these two flaps on this signature. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and finish up with this last signature, and it is going to be a double waterfall going in both directions. So I have 3 photos that will flip this way, and I have 3 photos that will flip this way on both of these. And then in the center of each one, where'd it go? We will have a photo that will fit in between on both of them. So what I'd like to get started with is the measurements for your base page. And this piece came out of the 12 by 12 collection, and it's measuring at about 7 7/8 across. And it is measuring 7 7/8 tall. So what I wanted to do, this is the last page. We don't have any big buildups that we have to worry about, but I don't want to get in this gusset either. So I cut this so that we would be nicely centered, leaving the gusset open on this side. Inked the edges. And I am going to first put down the waterfall pieces that will go on the left-hand side. Then I'll come in and do those that come on the right-hand side. And then lastly, I will put in the 2 center pieces. Now, each one of these measures, and you'll want 6 of them because there's going to be 3 on each side. Actually, you're going to want 12 of them because there's 3 on each side, top and bottom. They're measuring in at 5.5 inches, and you're going to score each one at 1/2 and then tape this end. And then it's going to measure 3 1/8 this way, so that when we cut the pieces that go in here, they're going to be cut 3 by 4 7/8. And I see I used the wrong, and I rounded the corners, and I can see I used the wrong size round on this one. Okay, so you're going to measure at 5.5, scoring at 1/2, tape it, and this is going to be flapped under. This is going to be 3 1/8 tall, so that your pieces that fit will be 4 7/8 by 3 inches. So let's go ahead. You can halt the video, get your 12 made, get them taped, and then come back and join me putting them on. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm first going to line up the top ones. I see a pencil mark I need to erase. I'm going to place these first. I want to get them somewhat spaced in there, top to bottom, about 1/2 inch off the bottom, and then somewhere around 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch in between them. And then I want to come in approximately 1/2 inch from the end. So let's see how I did here. Yes, I'm just right at a 1/2 inch, and I'm not quite at a 1/2 inch. I'm more at 3/8, but it will work. Okay, so if these line up, I'm going to butt my ruler right up next to this one, and then I'm going to come in here and lay this one down. I just noticed I used the I must have had fun. I know, I was out here bright and early this morning and I hadn't had enough coffee and I was just going at it. Got kind of a rough edge. I wonder why that's not punching very cleanly. I might have to get a new puncher. I broke it anyway. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to, because I want to keep things in order, I'm going to lay these in order over here. All right, now we're going to go ahead and put in the next one. Goodness sakes. Now when I put this one in, I want to come right up next to it. I don't want to leave any gaps. I want to try and get this as straight as possible. Beautiful. Okay, now we're going to do the next one. Okay, and I can see, again, I didn't use the correct okay. And then this one. So I think I got all the papers done with a 1/2 inch, and then I did these after the fact and used the wrong side. Okay, so now I have these in, and I'm going to reverse this. I'm going to turn it over, and then I'm going to lay the next ones. I want to come in at about a 1/2 inch, and I'm going to line up with this set so that they hopefully go in there nice and even. Now I can just follow this pattern. Oh, I didn't put tape on this one. Oh, I get to demonstrate a new tool. Oh, I'm kind of excited. I got this in my shipment today from Scrap and Create, and it comes up. It reminds me of one of those back of the phone holders. I prefer it down because it gives me a little bit more stability. But I'm always goobering up my scissors, and this comes right there to the edge, and you get to tear it. So scoot on over to Scrap and Create. They've got these in stock. I I was a little hesitant when I started using it, but once I got used to it, it really isn't any different than picking up a pair of scissors and you're handling it. But what I like is that it does a nice clean tear, and I'm not getting that glue all over my scissors that you then have to go in with something like undo to get it cleaned up. Okay, so that set is in. I was kind of excited when Julie sent that to me. I just thought that was kind of slick. One of her other designers uses it as well. Okay. I'm going to turn it over and give it a good burnish on this side because this is where the tape is. All right, so now I'm going to open this up, and this should fit right in there. So if I need to trim it down a smidge, I can, because I do. I wasn't sure on my spacing if it was going to just snuggle in there nice and cuddly like, but it does need some trimming. Now I'll go back in and now I'll see if this, oh, look at that, beautiful. So that means I need to trim this piece down just a hair, not by too much. Okay, so I am going to glue this in place. I'd like to tape it so I could show you that tool again, but I have, I'm still learning how to use it, but it sure seems very simple. Maybe the next one I'll go ahead and use the tape so I can show it to you again. Well, you know what? I can do that right now. So I'm going to use some 1/4" tape. Now, where did it go? Oh, I already taped this one. Oh, bummers. All right. Now this ended up measuring, I did this the same height, which is 3 1/8, so it's the same height as these, but the in-between measurement came in at 4 7/8. So I'm going to line it right up next to that score mark, and we're going to get it set in. Now, did I tape this one too? I did. Well, maybe I'll find another excuse here to demonstrate it for you. I know what I could do while I'm gluing this on. This is what it is, tape and tear tool. And it describes it to you. It's an acrylic piece. It's measuring 2.5 by 2.5 with 1/8 and 1/4 reference lines. I did not know that. Oh, I think I just made a mistake. Oh, I hope this fits. Depends upon how accurate I was in here. Oh, this is just going to fit. Whew. But you know what? Just to be on the safe side, I'm just going to take a slight hair just a slight hair off of this, because once it's in there, nobody's really going to notice that one blue line is shorter than the other. And that did not cut very good. Okay. Line it up in between, make sure it's level. And there we go. Now you can close these this way so that they kind of alternate if you want, or just put 3 on each side, which is how I'm going to set it up because of the decorations that I'm using on these. All right, now your pull tags are measuring 1.5 inches across, and they measured at 5 inches in length, and I used a 1/2 inch corner round for each one of these. Ooh, tape. We get to put on some tape. I've got like a little kid in a candy store. Okay, take this. Come right up to the edge, put some pressure and tear. Man, that just saves on my my scissors a lot. I'm going to enjoy that. All right, so let's go ahead and find where our middle is. I'm leaving these on. I don't know why I'm leaving them on. I put them on there so I wouldn't lose them. I've got so many scraps on my table here. Make sure it's right up next to that SCOR line. I'm going to press it down, and then I'm going to do the same here with this one. Okay, take that off. Tape that in. Let me get rid of all my little loose ends here. All right, so now I am going to, I don't think I inked this one. Glue this in place. And then I'm going to set the magnets. Okay, so I placed my magnet on here already. So this side, whoops, it's not going to control. I have this one in place already. So I put a piece of paper in between. It's the paper I'm going to use to cover it. And I'm going to, when I cut these, I forgot to tell you, you're going to score at 1/2 and then you're going to score at 3/4. That will allow for the buildup so that this will rise as you're putting photos on. So I paired up with the 1/2 inch SCOR line, and now I'm going to make sure that this is as straight as possible and that the gusset is standing up, and then I'm going to press this down. And now it's in place, so now I can tape. Ooh, we get to use some tape. And I'm going to tape these in. And then I'm just going to come across here, and I know I'm going to have to do some cleanup trim here because it's a square tear and it doesn't do round corners. And I can see, well, it doesn't matter. I just noticed I did a boo-boo when I cut this, or actually when I cropped it, because now my words are upside down, but it's still going to work. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one. Well, I guess if I'm going to have them upside down, they might as well be upside down on both sides. What a goof head I was on that part. I'll put the link to this tool in the description so that you can just click on the link and it'll take you right to where they are on her web page. Okay. All right, same process. I'm going to make sure the gusset is, oops, I got an accidental bend. I'm going to make sure I've got the gusset standing up. This is as level as I can eyeball it from my position. And then put this on. Now the fact that I'm putting tape on these, I could come back in here and make these right side up, but I don't know, does it really matter? All right, now I am going to finish. All right, so I went in and found some small postage stamps and I cut them and I have mounted them and I'm going to put them on here. I'm using 2 of the brass pieces and I'm using some of the ribbon that came with the collection. It's the silver one right here. And I'm going to glue these right on top after I get these glued down, because while I'm doing the paper on the rest of it, I want to have the glossy accents a chance for it to set up and dry. And I like to put things at an angle so that it breaks up the up and down rigid. Oh, wrong one. I don't trust. I love art glitter glue, but when it comes to putting down metal pieces, onto paper, I want to use glossy accents. So then we're going to take this and we're just going to slide it in there. So this looks like it's a bunch of castles, and this is a bird. I could call it all kinds of birds, but right now I'm just going to call it a seagull. Oh, it could be a sparrow. Sparrows fly over the water. And then I'm going to put that there. Okay. Now I'm just going to be kind of careful here and turn these over. This is what I want right here. Okay, so I went in and found 2 of the cutout cards, and I'm going to mount it onto some blue cardstock, and it's going to go right here. So I'm going to tape this in first. Yay! More tape. Time to use the tool again. These will be the only ones I will tape because of the magnet. I think I could grow to like that tool. I'm really happy that Julie sent it to me. She wanted my opinion, and I think it's a 5-star. And I don't think they're very expensive. So you could probably buy a couple of them. That'd be a good excuse, because then if you misplace one, I need to see what I'm doing here. If you misplace one, then you've got another one. And then I'll glue this onto this. And then I'll center this in here. There's that one. Okay, I'm gonna have to, that got a little wobbly on me there. Excess tape, I'm just gonna roll it over. And then I'm going to put this in here. That did not go in very straight. Not acceptable. Is this going to come up easily? No. It went in cockeyed, and I don't care if some of it's upside down like these, because they're not really going to be visible, but I do want these in here fairly straight because they are more visible. This is going to sit in here like that. Okay, now we're going to put in the rest of the goodies. Now there is, I don't know about your stash, but there are possibly enough scraps that you could come in and cover the back side. They're not all going to be reading the right way because of different angled cuts that we did. But once you get a photo on there, you're not going to notice anyway. I'm trying to just, oh, I think it went this way. Or just not worry about it because you're going to put a photo on it and you can use the blue cardstock as your frame around the photo. Now, I'm trying, oh, these must go up here. Yeah. I'm hoping I'm doing this the right way. I try to keep them separate so that the curves, the cuts are all going the right direction. Okay, so now these will go this way. And sometimes I try to have a kind of a pattern that goes back and forth, but you don't necessarily always get that to happen because it just depends upon your scraps that you have left over. So I'm primarily just finding those that will fit the length and the width for the cut. These in, and then I'm going to have you cut six 3/8 inch pieces to go here in the gussets. Now I've already cut mine, I've already got them inked and ready to go. See, this is what I mean about the patterns. But by the time someone puts a photo on this, it isn't gonna matter. So I'm not too worried about it. It's just one of those crafting crazy things that you run into. All right, so now we have this set done as well, but I want to start laying. So mine are 3/8 wide by 2 7/8 in length. And I'm going to glue them, and in no particular order, just set them in here to hide the gusset, the flap. It helps to break up all this blue, and I think it just kind of does a little bit of finishing work. I think maybe I cut too many. Oh well. I know what I did. Okay, so I had cut, it looks like 4 too many. That would be because I had anticipated putting them down here, but when I put the photo in there, there's no reason to do that. Okay, so I just did this, and you can do it whichever way you want. All right, let's go ahead and get the, let's walk through, make sure I didn't forget anything. Okay, we've got the little brass pieces. We've got everything on both sides that needed to be done. Okay, I'm going to put tape on the back side so that we can get it in the album. I don't know how well this little tool is going to work because it's kind of lopsided. But it seems to be working. It's not, what I mean by lopsided is I'm not placing it on a true flat surface because of the volume of paper that's here. This is going down it a little bit on an uneven surface, but applying the right amount of pressure in the right spot, it seems to work just fine. Okay. Now, my gussets are running this way, so to support the weight, I'm also running my tape in the same direction. I'll do some cleanup here real quick. Okay, let's put this in our album. So it's going to sit in here just so. I'm going to line it up here on the outside edge because I know what I want to see. And now I'll press. Let me get in there and burnish. And now I'll take the rest of the tape off. And then we'll do one final kind of primp cleanup on the album, and we'll be done. Excuse me for bending into the video here. I apologize, my head's in the way. All right, let's get this burnished in here. All right, so that signature's done, but I want you to go through your scraps and find a piece that will be wide enough to cut 3 1/2-inch. Actually, it'll be, if you use the same measurements I did to make, you're gonna have 2 1/2 inch and 1 at roughly 5/8. I'll show you. But we're gonna cover this, it just looks unfinished to me when you see all that blue in there. So I like to cover in these gussets so that it looks like it's cleaned up a little bit. Now this one, it's either going to be on the back of your album or the front of your album, depending upon whether you turned it or not. But there's a little bit extra here than there are on the other two. So this ended up being cut at 5/8 of an inch. Unless you had perfect measurements. Okay. So there you have it. It is done. It is complete. Now I am going to take, I have an abundance of paper left over from this collection. And I'm assuming if you bought all of the pads, you have quite a bit left over as well. I'm going to make an 8x8 folio with this paper. So you'll see that posting fairly soon. And again, I want to thank you for sharing your time with me, and I hope you enjoyed the album. Take care.